Hello, super animals! Welcome to SAR-Cap. My name is Shifty, and I'll be updating you on the recent events of Super Animal Royale. In this edition of SAR-Cap, I'll be going over the March Mooseletter, the monthly newsletter and development blog by Pixile Studios. The link can be found in the description. This edition covers an interview between Catbaux and Logan, another questions and answers segment, another fan art showcase, and the announcement of this year's Respawning Day event. Pixile kicks things off by tackling the most anticipated question that's been clouding the community's mind. When is the Super Animal World expansion coming out? It's the first thing that's on everybody's mind, and rightfully so, given how long players have been waiting and the hype behind the expansion. The short answer? When it's ready. Yeah, not exactly the most satisfying answer, but realistically, it's the answer that makes the most sense once you look at the bigger picture. This expansion isn't just another content update or seasonal event, it's a huge addition to Super Animal Royale fundamentally. This update is an entirely new system, including, but not limited, to managing NPC interactions, the addition of quest lines, and the framework designed to support future content post-launch. This kind of update is not the sort of thing you can push out to meet a deadline, but instead it requires the dedication and care that it deserves. Because of how ambitious it is, the expansion has needed time to grow into what it's meant to be. It's not just about making it good enough, it's about creating a polished, stable and exciting update for both long-standing veterans and new players stepping paw into the game for the first time. Pixile's goal is that the next time they announce a release date, it'll be the date us players will look forward to with anticipation. Since the last newsletter dropped, Pixile has been making steady and exciting progress. They've been expanding the quest lines, widening the stories, adding to the lore behind the characters you'll meet, animations are getting more expensive, improvements to the UI, and there's been major improvements in the world's sound and music too. And speaking of that sound and music progress, let's dive into that next. Logan, who is the community director, and Catbaux, otherwise known as Charlie, the audio designer and composer, sat down to discuss the creative process behind the music and audio design of the Super Animal World. Here, Catbaux touches on the work within Pixile Studios, her favourite tracks, and her challenges that she has faced. Thank you to Carl and Bear for contributing their time into voicing these lines of Logan and Catbaux.
Hey Charlie, thanks for chatting. For those who don't know, what do you do at Pixile and how long have you been doing it?
I'm the audio gal at Pixile. I've been doing the music and sound design since our alpha in 2018, and I also do the voice work for in-game animal sounds, chatting, pings, and emotes. Recently, I've also begun to co-host our live streams on YouTube and Twitch and help with Unity audio integration and some back-end coding tasks alongside Clog.
Your music is a big part of the game. Do you have a favorite track?
So, my go-to answer for this is usually the Rebel March from Super Animal Royale tonight. Early on, we needed a rebel theme, and after a lot of thinking, we settled on this sort of worker folksy song. We had over 20 community members record vocals, and then I got to mix them all together, which was very fun. Now we have this rebel instrumentation and musical material that we can use across the game, like in Saw vs. Rebellion, Super Animal Royale Tonight, and some of the new biome background tracks for Super Animal World.
What kind of new sounds can we look forward to in Super Animal World?
Obviously, the big new audio project is background music for Super Animal World. On the sound effects side, I've been working with our new sound designer, Nathan Kaur, creating a whole new collection of sounds for mechanics like fishing, bug catching, and hamster ball racing. We care a lot about the game's sounds having polished and unique identities. We want each new mechanic to feel just as fleshed out audio-wise as our combat modes, giving everything its own character. We've also got a lot of new NPC dialogue, which I've been very excited about ever since we introduced NPCs like Dogna and the first Skullcat back in 2019. Plus, there are many little UI sounds for all the new systems. These subtle elements aren't always consciously noticed, but are super important for the game to feel polished and satisfying. It's a long detailed list of little audio touches going into the expansion.
You mentioned the new ambience tracks, which are a huge addition since we don't currently have biome-specific music in a game. Do you have a favorite track you can share?
Probably the quintessential one is the forest track. It feels like the Super Animal Royale theme, but in a completely new, violence-free way. It's just this relaxed, chill, and fun version that still echoes with the original sound profile, but I'm also really happy with how the swamp track came out. I have a soft spot for Pete's song, and the swamp ambiance is completely inspired by it. It's very cozy, so you'll probably find me hanging around in the swamp a lot once Super Animal World is out.
Were there any challenges when designing these ambient tracks?
Yeah, the biggest challenge was finding the balance. Looping background music needs to be engaging and fun to listen to, but not so prominent that it distracts from moment-to-moment gameplay. Another challenge was ensuring cohesion between biome tracks, so as players walk from biome to biome, transitions feel natural yet distinctive. I tried to address this as much as possible during the composition process with instrumentation and musical material, but I ended up also having to design and code a system that smoothly transitions tracks synced to the beat as you move from biome to biome. We care a lot about feeling smooth and seamless.
Was there an instrument you had to revisit or even learn to create these new ambient sounds?
Yeah, from the very beginning of Super Animal Royale, I've really enjoyed writing bass lines. Initially, it was all digital since in 2018, I didn't know how to play bass. Finger or pick style bass was easy enough to simulate digitally, but slap bass was incredibly difficult. You can hear my earlier attempts at digital slap bass in crustacean oscillation, but it didn't quite hit right for me. Slap bass has all these little percussive noises that just happen as a result of playing that are super tough to write in a digital way. So I spent the past few years learning bass, and recently I've focused specifically on slap bass because I really wanted to use it. So I just hunkered down and learned it. I'm still very amateur at it because it's incredibly difficult, but I finally got comfortable enough to record and edit slap bass for a track in Super Animal World that I'm really excited about.
You mentioned NPC voices earlier. Do you have a favorite new voice from the characters we've revealed?
I really love Captain Sea Dog, who greets you right off the ferry. It's such a great example of how different an individual super animal's voice can be while still sounding like a super animal. It blows my mind that Ruben is able to do that with his vocal performance, and then the processing and editing we do to the characters just still feels super animal-y, which is so cool. There's a lot of characters I'm really looking forward to in Super Animal World. We've had so many distinct voices in Super Animal Royale tonight over the years, so it's great to finally feature a wider range of characters' voices prominently in-game too.
Nice! Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to all the little voices that you and Ruben and our amazing voice actors have created. To close things out with a fun question for anyone wanting to know you better, what's your favorite video game soundtrack?
Well, I won't name an absolute favorite, but I'll highlight one of them. It's kind of a niche pick, the soundtrack from Fury from 2016. It introduced me to an amazing artist that I still listen to, like Danger, Toxic Avenger, and Lorne. It also has Carpenter Brute, who I'd already loved since Hotline in Miami 2, and who has been a huge influence on my music. But it also just fits the game incredibly well, even with such a huge range of artists involved, because the tracks are composed so well to be adaptive and dynamic for the different stages of stage-based boss fights. It feels so smooth in game, and it fits the vibe so well. And then when you listen to the soundtrack on its own, it's still this incredibly powerful collection of electronic music that's just really, really good. I highly recommend everyone give it a shot.
Nice, that's all my questions for now. Thank you again for your time, and have fun making more tracks and doing things we can't announce quite yet.
And there we have it, a glimpse of the audio magic at Pixile. Hearing Catbaux explain her evolution from digital experimentation to mastering the slap bass shows us that hard work and focus really do pay off. And the way that she handles mixing vocals for Rebel March and designing smooth transitions between different areas in the game speaks to the effort that builds a magical experience. Audio is one of those things that often gets taken for granted in our media. Games, movies, videos, and even in music. It's always there, quietly shaping how we feel, drawing us in and deepening the atmosphere. I encourage you to stop and listen for a moment next time you're engaging with any of these and listen to the environment, that feeling you get as a track plays, the impact of the sound effects. I have a genuine appreciation for the art of sound that elevates our lives. Over on Blue Sky and Twitter, the Pixile account has put out their monthly Q&A for the community to answer within the newsletter, and have selected a handful to answer for this month's edition. If you have any burning questions you want an answer to, be sure to check out the Pixile Studio over on Blue Sky and Twitter. Unlucky Gatto asks, I love Pete's song and the idea of giving characters a special feeling with music. Can we expect more animals to get their own theme songs? Pixel answers with, we'd love to if we have the time and there's a strong story motivation for it. Which characters would you like to hear themes for? Likewise, I really loved hearing Pete's song and would personally love to hear a song for Cat 5. In my opinion, he is a really interesting character in the Super Animal Royale tonight, who I'm a huge fan of. I would also love to hear one for Dr. Spotson, the chocolate lab who also shows up in SAR tonight, having worked for Dr. Jennifer Dogner and is the Rebellion scientist. Angela asks, will there be relevant updates to the map design after the release of the DLC? Pixel answers with yes, Super Animal World will launch with some pretty new cool locations on the island, and we have a roadmap planned for even more future updates as well. I'm excited to see changes made to the map when playing, as new locations will bring a fresh feel and perspective to the game mode many have been desperately wanting, and potentially encourage the community to play angles and areas differently. Les7 asks, the sound design is my favourite aspect of the game. How do you guys decide which melee weapons have unique sounds and which have the generic ones? Pixel answers with, honestly, we typically go for what's the most fun to do and what we have time for. Certain weapons naturally spark creative ideas, and sometimes we add special sounds and effects later when inspiration strikes. We use the same approach for weapon skins and their audio-visual effects too. I really enjoy the silly noises that accompany different weapons, such as the Super 8 Sniper, the Water Pistol, and the Squeaky Mallet Melee. Some other examples include the Vaporwave M16 and the Lava Lamp Jag 7. It's a small detail that adds to the cartoonish joy and whimsy of this game. Starbound Mercenary asks, are y'all interested in doing any other collaborations after the Turnip Boy event? I love seeing indie games get together to do cool stuff, so even as someone with no knowledge of Turnip Boy, that event was a unique surprise. Pixel answers with absolutely. We're particularly excited about teaming up with other indie developers like ourselves, and we definitely have more collaborations planned. We've actually been redesigning a few things in Super Animal World that should make our future collabs extra fun. Super glad to hear you enjoyed the Turnip Boy event. We love our friends at Snoozy Kazoo. I love when studios decide to collaborate together and tie it into the world in some way, like the Turnip Boy event, or how Terraria does with their crossover events with Dungeon Defenders 2 or Don't Starve Together. It can take away from the concept of the core game if not done correctly, but can create memorable moments for your community if it's done well or seamlessly. Silly Goober asks, do you plan to release a new animal alongside SAR? Pixel answers with, maybe. There are plenty more super animals and breeds we'd love to introduce. After all, what's Super Animal World without its super animals? If there's one you'd especially love to see, let us know. I would love to see more mythological animals or species that only exist in fantasy settings, like the griffin. I would also be curious to see animal species you prominently see in the furry fandom. Imagine seeing a wolf or foxwolf, a wagon or wolf dragon, or even a protogen. Next up, the community has made all sorts of artwork for Super Animal World out of their joy for the game and the people within it. This month's selection by Pixel are being shown on screen now. Lastly, on April the 1st, the Respawning Day event started, giving us 3 weeks of holiday cheers filled with cosmetics, challenges, and several new super animal breeds for the community to unlock. The event consisted of 3 themed weeks of content. Week 1 was April Fool's Day 2025, Week 2 was Sakura Festival, and Week 3 was the Respawning Finale. The island was also overjoyed with the addition of new cosmetics and super animals that were requested by the community. Up for grabs are the Super Fawny Devil, suggested by FaZe Bruv and unlockable at level 40, the Super Toy Snake, suggested by Saltakin and unlockable at level 50, Rock Candy Melee, suggested by Nekosan, the Toaster Pasty outfit, suggested by Comet.cat, and the Comfy Hoodie, suggested by Chiolsa. And this has been the end of SAR-Cap. Thank you for listening, and keep fighting, super animals.